story of faith, war, and betrayal as it engulfs the windswept coastline of the Sea of Swords. Play beneath the all-seeing gaze of an all-powerful dungeon master, a human mind, there to breathe life into every aspect of your unfolding tale. Welcome to Neverwinter Nights.
First of all, it needs to be said right here in the beginning, this video doesn't feature visually explicit content, but I will be reading bits of dialogue out loud. Most of it is weird, but in a good way, except for one uncomfortable scene right in the beginning. The game opens up with it, but once we get past that, it's smooth sailing. A Dance with Rogues is a fan-made adventure for Neverwinter Nights 1 that is absolutely legendary in the Neverwinter community, and practically unknown outside of it. This is unfortunate, because the game has so many fun ideas, and almost all of them are about incorporating sex and sexuality into a traditional RPG experience that scares the nerd. ADWR was made by a woman. Of course it was, it needed to be. Velen, the game's anonymous solo developer, described herself as an assistant professor from Europe. But this is from a 2006 interview, so I imagine this information is obsolete. Going by the same interview, one might get the impression she isn't even that much into RPGs. I did play a couple of computer games like Baldur's Gate and Diablo, which I enjoyed, so when Neverwinter came out, I decided to give it a try too. Good thing she did, because even if this game had zero sexual content, it would still be a solid adventure. There is competent RPG craftsmanship on display, which I will now demonstrate. The module is designed with a specific character in mind. You need to be a human, a woman, with above average dexterity and charisma. Rogues are highly recommended. The princess appearance is extensively customizable thanks to various community assets included. I've read somewhere that the constitution score affects rack size and that some NPCs will comment on that. Certainly a unique feature. Our randomly generated name is Cora Marshalled. The kingdom is being invaded by a hostile power called Dorn. The surviving loyalists retreat into Castle Marshalled, while the Dornians, or Dornese, plundered the city. I am sure the walls will hold and nothing bad will happen. But the Dorn are already here. Our father's soldiers are being slaughtered. The princess flees, until she is saved by Vico, a rapist murderer. The game draws inspiration from A Song of Ice and Fire, although it was made half a decade before the Game of Thrones show. The princess shares features with several female characters from the books. One of these characters is Daenerys. Just like it is the case with the Targaryen princess, Cora's new life begins with her becoming a victim of sexual violence. If you are offended by the opening scene, you shouldn't play this, says the module description. But to be honest, it's natural to be shocked and repulsed by something like this, and this is the most extreme scene in the game, I think. We are taken to the place called Bear's Pit, one of many taverns here in the capital. The two men discuss what to do with us. She might be useful. Someone might pay ransom. Dead people don't pay, Vico. Given time, some foreign noble maybe, to legitimize his claim to the throne. The boss is not convinced we are worth the risk, but decides to take us in anyway. The precautions have to be taken. Chella here is a specialist on disguises. I doubt anyone will recognize her if she has ash on her cheeks and broken nails from scrubbing pots. We'll be working in the kitchen. And the name? Well, people name their daughters after princesses all the time. This is a story about a young noblewoman surviving in a city of Betancuria, a broken down post-war ruin. We've been living in the Bear Pit for several months now. A very important note for those of you who are gonna play this: do not use the escape key to close dialogue windows. This might catastrophically break some scripts. One of the guests puked on the floor this morning. Guess who had to clean up the mess? All while Miss Princess was sleeping like an angel. Fairly sure Trissa calling us princess is just an expression. I'm no princess. Right, you're just some lazy bitch. And word of warning, stay away from Karen. Last time I saw you to, Karen had his fingers under your skirt. That's because he explained me something about pickpocketing. You're such a slut. Is there anyone in this kitchen who you haven't fucked? The boss, Nathan Gayers, thinks it's time we got involved in the organization's activities. We need to venture out in the Dorn-occupied city and seek friends of the guild who will teach us various aspects of the trade. The game dumps like 7 or 8 quests on us, and we can do them in any order. This is not a tutorial, by the way. Or rather, it is for the princess, but not for the player. The quests are elaborate. The game assumes you know how to Neverwinter. The city of Betancuria is huge and impressively detailed for this engine. A lot of effort went into this. The soldiers are searching people at checkpoints. Not sure what they're looking for. It's not illegal to carry weapons and they're not confiscated. Chela teaches us about disguises. You need to make them see somebody else when they look at you. This can be arranged with expensive makeup and pearls, and just as well with ash on your cheeks and dirty fingernails. I wonder if we can borrow this homeless person's outfit. Once he learns that the rags are, for whatever reason, an item of value for us, he says he'll give us the rags if we allow him to touch our boobs. No. This lady is an artist, and she promised coin if we pose naked for a painting. Cora is, after all, a pretty princess. A cop raid. Arrest both whores, he says. The painter managed to calm them down, but they did end up confiscating the painting itself. So there is a naked painting of us somewhere in the government possession. Might not have been a smart move on our part, and we only got like $10. The tea shop is where we practice sword fighting. They have a training dummy in the cellar, and we were even allowed to keep the weapon. A Dorn officer tries to use his privileged position to pressure us to go on a date with him, but we are saved by one of Nathan's men, who bullied the guard before he could take advantage of us. This is curious, because the Dorn people are usually very disciplined, and they are not into earthly pleasures. Maybe we can use this somehow. Nathan is visibly uncomfortable when we talk to him about what Vico did to us, and he should be. The family. This is what they call the guild. But what kind of family is this? We say thank you to the man who bailed us out and kiss him on the cheek. What a good boy. The training continues. The smugglers teach the princess how to move around undetected. The sewers are the first dungeon sequence in the game. It's very dark. Dark enough to be annoying to navigate, but otherwise well designed. The module is surprisingly competent at basic RPG features like dungeons and encounter design that you might expect to take a back seat in favor of other things. We get basically no XP for killing rats and roaches, but quite a bit for finding hidden doors and opening locks. In fact, these two activities are the main source of experience points in the game. Plan your character accordingly. A Dorn soldier and a local fucking in a sewer. Not gonna rat them out, but I did ask for directions. This place is a maze. Kiting a stuck gelatinous cube while 2 cops are having loud gay sex in the corner of the same room. The phrase I never thought I'd say out loud. The realization just suddenly hit me. This is it, fam. I made it as a reviewer. Someone recognized us. Meet me alone after dark. This is not a trap, the note said. He is wearing our father's colors underneath the robe. Says he can get us out. There is a ship. It's gonna cost a lot of money, but he knows where to get money. The local authorities installed by Dorn are very interested in apprehending the criminals, who are rumored to be operating out of the Bear Pit restaurant. I don't know anything about it. Is your decision final? Yes. Was it a test? The philosophy behind Nathan's project is that in order to make yourself safe from crime, you need to control it. But Betancuria is a huge Baldur's Gate-esque city. There are all kinds of criminals. Not all of them are part of the family. This is a fascinating encounter. The Dorn are socially conservative, militantly so. They closed all brothels in the city. But the occupation didn't prevent Betancurians from wanting to fuck. So the business interests intend to open an illegal brothel. You can make more money in a week than you'd normally make in a year. No. You can choose your own clients. No. He is incredibly persistent. We have to say no 8 times. As the princess continues her education, an associate of Nathan's informs her that the promise of glamorous life was, of course, false. It's a trick they use to force young women into a life of involuntary sex work. I've read in a spoiler that saying yes to the creep would have led to a cool side adventure. We can choose to wear or not not to wear different kinds of stockings, panties, and boots. This has a significant mechanical impact. High heels, as shown here, give the princess a charisma bonus. I guess she feels more confident and feminine, but it's very hard to sneak in this sort of footwear, so we get a sneak penalty. As we familiarize ourselves with the city and complete quests, we get orbiters. This is one of the smugglers working with Nathan. Tony is his name. Exploring the harbor district gets us sexually harassed by sailors, some of them more persistent than others. Taking items that don't belong to us pushes our alignment towards chaotic, and killing people for no reason towards evil. This adventure is made for rogue-ish characters first and foremost, thus the name. But the module is well designed to work with all kinds of classes and alignments. We begin our journey as a rogue, but from now on I'll be adding Paladin levels. I feel this combination works really well thematically for the princess. She is not broken by her personal tragedy, and it makes sense that in the previous life she had training as a knight. However, this also means that we need to be very careful when engaging in criminal activities. We'll have to find clever workarounds. Our code prevents us from doing certain things. Being a paladin is in many ways advantageous, like it makes us immune to diseases, and that includes STDs. But making money will be difficult, and this sucks because this is one of those RPGs where money is actually important. Owning, say, a nymph cloak +3 would allow us to pass every speech check in the harbor area. It would have been beneficial to be in a relationship with a richoid. There is not a single woman in the whole kingdom who can compete with your beauty. Tony is an associate of Nathan's and he is fuck off rich. We'll need to think about this. The herbalist sells something called contraception tea. More experienced women in the family advised us to buy this. Mechanics-wise, it functions like a health potion. Another lesson: we are to seduce Pia the Bard, who is into women. For this purpose, we dress very feminine and apply cosmetics. Our job is to distract her while another agent of the family breaks in and steals the important papers. But the agent never arrives. She is hot, so... Since we woke up first, might as well take advantage of this and steal the documents ourselves. Naked Pia explains that all of this was part of the test. Welcome to lesbian mafia. The guild has a forward operating base deeper in the sewers, with a ballista pointing at the entrance, a security measure. Vico is here. This conversation could go in a number of ways. In the end, one cunt is just like the other, he says. We make a kissy face. Gonna kill him later. Vico is a quest giver. Tons of quest givers in this place. Not all of them we can take. The game has a body count variable, a sex skill. The more people you sleep with, the better you are at it. Some seduction-related tasks require us to be experienced. The wizard tower is protected by magical wards. They are effectively impenetrable, but the owner forgot to close the window on one of the upper floors. We get in with a rope. This was a low magic kind of setting so far, but here are golems and familiars. The constructs are beatable. The golem models in Neverwinter 1 are huge and imposing, but the creatures themselves are not necessarily very tough. We eventually get into the wizard's private chambers and replace the clock on the desk with another clock the family gave us. The day after the job was done, the princess learns that the clock was a bomb. We blew up the tower. She reflects on what she became. This big guy in the tavern sexually assaults us. Thankfully, the Dorn cops are here. They attempt to arrest us for prostitution. The next lesson is on setting and disarming traps, but it turns out that a trap isn't just a red square on the ground. We are dumped in the wilderness a respectable distance away from the city. The territories around Betancuria were ravaged by the war. A castle? It's one of them Bethesda castles, actually. Inside it's a ruin occupied by bandits. If we choose to fight them head-on, we'll have to deal with archers on the walls, and it's basically impossible. And the diplomatic route is only a little easier. The bandits knock us out, strip us of our belongings, and then we're given to two thugs who torture us to death. A very hard battle. I had to save scum. They are bad people, so Paladin's smite evil works on them. The naked princess sneaks around the castle in search of her stolen and possessions. The bandits are asleep. We one-hit kill them via the coup de grace mechanic. Andon is a ranger. He becomes our first companion, a lawful good character in a game about rogues and villains. He has a 2-level advantage over us. Very good. After recovering our stuff, the game sets up a boss fight against the bandit leader. Fighting with a companion by your side enables sneak attacks. The barrow is perfectly safe, he says. Definitely no goblins inside. Psych! There are goblins in the barrow. That's a very comfy little camp they have here. The low-detail early 3D style of Neverwinter 1 makes environmental storytelling difficult, so it is impressive when someone actually succeeds doing that. I wonder if the healing effect from the contraception tea is applicable to Andon. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way women contraceptives work, we are basically feeding him pure estrogen, right? We get attacked by cave bats. The ranger knows that these are usually not aggressive, unless they smell blood. That makes them go nuts. I'm sorry, milady. I didn't want to embarrass you. It takes a lot more to embarrass me. Freedom at last. Just as we are about to reach the outskirts of Betancuria, a young woman suddenly runs up to us, just saying hello. It's been a while since you've been to my forest after all, and you've even gotten yourself a girlfriend this time, huh? Her name is Gale. She is harmless, although she can be rather annoying at times. The game doesn't make it clear if it's just a local woman or some sort of a dryad or a forest spirit. Oh, annoying? You didn't find me at all annoying when you did it with me. Gale, I've never done it with you. Oh right, I forgot you only do it with your animals. She smiles, turns her back to Andon and pulls up her skirt. Are you sure you don't want to stick it into me? I'll even let you do me in my body. The woman laughs, taps her bottom a few times and then runs off into the woods. There is a lot of background information on our ranger friend that we don't know yet. This guy is a deserter from our father's military. Says we look just like the princess. I've seen her a couple of times when she was riding out. The entire army was wanking off to her. Well, good for them, I guess. We're home. Andon needs to report back to the Rangers Guild. We bid him farewell for now. I remember when AOD was still in development, Vince was talking about how it would be possible to play the game with a beautiful woman, socialite assassin kind of character. I don't think that quite panned out. Making this kind of gameplay would mean a lot of work for the writer, that ultimately only a very small percentage of the audience would end up experiencing. A Dance with Rogues, however, incorporates femininity in a mechanical way. In this salon, we can apply makeup, which is incredibly useful for skill checks, since it raises our charisma attribute and is much cheaper than a potion. But just like in real life, applying makeup takes time, and the game has a day and night cycle, so it's best to do this earlier in the day, so that the person you are trying to impress isn't already asleep. And it's not just makeup. If we choose Tony the Richoid for a boyfriend, he gives us a room in his luxurious mansion, where a maid would bathe us and then shave the princess pussy. Because, quote, this is a matter of personal hygiene, and Tony likes it this way. And that actually changes the texture on our character model. After the bath, we were supposed to go shopping, except Tony is so fabulously rich that shopping means the store owners bring their stock to him. We try on many different dresses. The merchant, the servant, Tony, and ourselves have a little back and forth about each one. As we established, the clothing and armor system is nuanced, affecting our attributes and skills in a major way. Skirts are not good for combat. Not only do they offer basically no protection, but also they keep flying up, and that's annoying. Unless you are playing a hyper-focused character, you almost certainly would want to keep a few extra sets of clothing and accessories, changing them depending on the job at hand. We have a dinner with Tony. My father wasn't an evil man. He just didn't believe in restrictions posed by the law. Since Tony is a member of the family, he knows who we are. I get a vibe Cora is kind of a trophy girlfriend for him. He is tactful without seeming too manipulative. The rule is no fucking until we're ready, and that's exactly how it goes. Our apartment is being robbed. The combat is fairly hard. I had to reload twice to complete this seemingly trivial encounter. Most businesses close after dark, with the Betancurian arena being the exception. It's open only in the evenings. We can't actually fight in the arena. It would be quite stupid to show our face to a crowd. loud. Besides, the gladiators are professional warriors, but we can watch the fights and make bets. I got a few hundred Betancuria bucks out of this. Dinner with our boyfriend. Tony is selling flowers to foreigners. It's a drug business. We spend another night at his house. Still no sex. Vico is here. You enjoy playing the grand lady of the house, huh? I give this a week, then you'll be back at the harbor, offering your cunt to sailors. Go die. What's wrong, Birdie? Tony didn't satisfy you last night. Actually, he was amazing. You're such a slut. The family has a base in an abandoned tower on an island not far from the city. It's used for smuggling. Cora, Tony, Vico, and Kata, a band of rogues. We are to travel there and make sure everything is set up for the transaction to go smoothly. Vico told me you wanted to bring the little cunt, Tony. I was hoping it was one of his bad jokes. Kata is an assassin, a very confrontational woman, Tony's ex. It takes hours to reach the island. It's daytime. Pretty good environmental design. The place is infested with orcs. Most members of the family appear to be much better fighters than Cora. Tony gives us a short bow, so that we don't have to risk our life in close quarters combat. We fight orcs as Vico and Kata are bickering in the background. Can't you two stop bitching for a minute? Let's get all these orcs dead and then you could fuck around all the way you want. Kata makes a gesture at Vico as if she had something moving in her mouth. Our group is so strong, the orcs basically don't stand a chance. This is so easy, it's almost a cutscene. Eventually, we discover the bodies of the family associates who were supposed to meet us in the tower. You might have noticed, the creatures in Neverwinter are often oversized, and you can't really tell how dangerous they are based on the size alone. I think Birdie should name us Sheriffs of the Crown for ridding the kingdom of the beast. Dead orcs on the floor of the tower. Perhaps our associates killed them. By giving them indigestion, you mean? We are not combat capable enough to meaningfully participate in the slaughter, but it's not required. A closed door blocks the way. Tony gives Cora a set of thieves' tools plus 12, a consumable item that's literally more expensive than the rest of our equipment combined. Think you can get the lock open for us, beautiful? She must be beyond incredible, seeing all the trouble you go through with a little bitch. Almost makes me wish I had a cock so I could fuck her too. Ignore Cat. She is just jealous because her cunt smells like a fish market. More like rotting garbage, I'd say. We finally hit Paladin level 4, which is when we get our first spell. The charisma-based Paladin build revolves around self-buffs and Paladin spellcasting, which is something I never tried before, so it's interesting. Beyond the door is a ranger. Red colors. Almost certainly Dorn. He led the orcs to the tower by accident, he says. Vico and the ranger go on patrol, where the latter gets stabbed and thrown off the cliff. We don't need extra company, thank you very much. Despite all the insults being thrown around, Tony, Vico, and Kata would trust each other with their lives. Careful, Tony, darling. You've gained quite a lot of weight lately. If you grow a fat belly, the little bitch might not let you fuck her anymore. I'll always let him fuck me. Tony is so good. So much fun character development. But the strangest thing? This is a side quest, completely optional and missable. The game's quest log doesn't indicate how plot important a task is, and I love it. The foreigners arrive with the gold. There is tension in the air, but the transaction was concluded successfully. We are home. Tony throws a party for his foreign business partners. Gentlemen, may I introduce you to Lady Cora, my wife-to-be, I hope. After we go to bed, they put 3 bolts in Tony's head, and the princess gets one in the chest. Come on, wake up, you stupid bitch. The mansion is on fire. Kata saved us. All the servants are dead. An important member of the family was lost today. This side adventure is concluded. Tony's wealth is gone, but all the dresses and stockings and high heels he bought for us, we sell it all to a merchant for good money. A common complaint about RPGs is that these games feature way too much combat, but focusing on roguey activities helps alleviate this somewhat. Much of ADWR gameplay is basically D&D Metal Gear Solid, and here is where the cops keep confiscated items, illegal art, sexy clothing. That's our portrait, the one created by the painter lady earlier in the adventure. Still grieving, Birdie? Or just upset that you're back in the kitchen and that your days as the grand lady of Tony's house are over? Mostly, I miss the steamy sex parties in the pool. Tony and Cora never actually fucked, I'm pretty sure. And he wasn't the family's only casualty. Remember Trissa? You probably don't. It's one of the girls from the bear pit. She called us a slut back when we were working in the kitchen. Her relationship, Karen, was killed by Dorn. We comfort her. One thing leads to another and... Well, this is a very detailed, text-based pussy-licking session. Why aren't we seeing more sexual content in games? Well, I think the designers stay away from sexual content because they don't want their games to be adult-rated, because that would mean the big stores would not put their game up for sale, which means a lot less money. I wonder if this is still true in the world where games are no longer distributed physically, and the audience is several times the size of what it used to be back when this game was made. We wake up alone. Trissa is gone with all our money. This is fine. She needs it more than we do, and I didn't have much because I just bought a set of plate armor for a special occasion. The big guy who previously sexually harassed us in one of the harbor taverns and almost got us arrested by the incel police. The game loves bringing back characters previously introduced in side quests. Now that we gained a few levels and got decent equipment, we're capable of defeating him one-on-one. The fighters quartered beneath the arena are used by Dorn as agents and spies. They fucked with the family. The second arena in this game we can't fight in. ADWR is violating all sorts of traditions. Most of these guys are armed with non-magical weapons. Even +1 arms are rare in this mod. +2 is something carried by our more experienced companions. Nathan says we should lay low for now, like lower than usual. These two knights we met in one of the taverns require the services of a rogue. Let's go see how this game does complex dungeons. Together with Cristiano and Mira, we travel by boat to a distant island in search of a relic. They fuck loud, and we have to pass a discipline check in order to ignore the noises. That's a nice change of scenery. Mira is a neutral good cleric, and Cristiano, the leader of our party, is a lawful good paladin. The village was built by the followers of the evil god or demon named Hyath. Both the settlement and the temple were burned down by Cristiano's order some years ago. The cultists were slain. The paladins didn't finish their job though. There are still powerful artifacts hidden somewhere in the deep layer, made inaccessible by locks and traps, and that's why we are here. Our companions are very good at their job. I love how functional this little party is. The knight tanks, the cleric heals his wounds, and we deal damage with sneak attacks. What? Sneak attacks shouldn't work on undead? Well, mine do. Who cares? Fuck you. A creepy statue overlooking a seemingly bottomless pit. Used for sacrifice, perhaps. Huh, Mira thinks the demon's still hiding at the bottom, and I sure hope she's right. Cristiano pulls out his dick and starts pissing down the shaft. You shouldn't do that in front of the girl. Well, feel free to piss down the hole as well, pretty Cora. We won't, but the game does give you an option to do so. ADWR loves to limit where you can sleep, making resource management more important. The access to the lower levels is blocked. This hole in the ground is our only hope of progressing. Forget it. Do you have any idea how heavy my armor is? Mira asks. Well, they both look at us. You're cowards. We are going in. As we explore the deeper levels, the demon in charge of this place sends us a vision, which I won't be showing. It portrays Cora pregnant and naked. Cristiano then walks up to her and says he won't acknowledge the child, and then he walks away. Isolated from the party, we best not endanger ourselves fighting. After completing a spellcraft or a lore check, Cora is suddenly surrounded by darkness. A very manipulative shadow shows up, says it's been trapped in these holes for a long time, wants to be our friend, asks if someone hurt us. Do we have a boyfriend? As a paladin, I do not approve of meddling with suspicious creatures found in satanic summoning chambers, but the shadow insists on giving us a ring, a gift. It has a haste enchantment, very useful. Eventually we'll link up with the idiot paladins. Let's finish exploring this place. After we make camp, Mira goes to sleep and Cristiano becomes inappropriately flirtatious. "The paladin wants to bed you, Cora," says the voice in our head. The shadow, speaking through the ring. "I think I'll just throw it away. That would make me sad, but you can do as you wish, of course. I just want to warn you of your comrade. He stares at you when you're not looking, and not with benevolent eyes." In the interview, Valen explains that she usually has a certain person in mind when creating an NPC. I wonder. A feature of good dungeon design is that seemingly no matter how much supplies you brought, you'll always run out, just as it's about to end. "Hey Cora, wake up." Cristiano touches our shoulder. "I am dying to have you. Stop that, or I'll put my knife in your belly. You know that you are denying the request of a man of the Holy Church." Cristiano whines and complains, but then fucks off. Mira is still asleep. The cleric. You will not want her to find out what has happened tonight. The shadow, the creature in the ring, did a good job of studying the princess, what she fears and how she can be manipulated. He may try to silence you once he thinks about what he has done. I would like to watch over you. It's difficult. Maybe you can summon me, please? Nice try, Satan. A solid 7 out of 10 attempt. The princess throws away the ring. Some hours later, the party wakes up. Nobody silenced anybody. What follows next is the final battle against the undead champions defending this place. A party versus party battle, which is awful in this engine, because Neverwinter doesn't allow you to control companions. I eventually win by aggroing the DPS zombie and kiting it around the arena, while the followers kill the weaker enemies. That's it. We got the artifact, the chalice of whatever. We make our way back to the ship without further misadventures. No backstabbing, no sexual violence, no suspicious shadow activity. And yes, if we agreed to summon the creature, that would lead to all kinds of additional rewards and complications. We say goodbye to the paladins. The difficult thing about writing spicy parts was not to include any personal feelings. You know, it often happened that I was writing a certain dialogue, and while I was writing it, I felt a certain way towards it. But when I later played the module, I didn't feel like that at all, maybe due to a certain event that happened earlier. Valen is describing what psychologists call priming, a phenomenon when exposure to one stimulus unintentionally influences a response to subsequent stimulus. This is the reason the game's dialogue is written like this, with multiple seemingly superficial options that ultimately lead to similar outcomes. This helps us connect with the character, get in her head, makes the experience more immersive. Another advantage of this dialogue structure is that it cuts text into digestible chunks. This is important, since the Neverwinter engine being what it is, text will be doing a lot of heavy lifting. Never thought I'd miss the rain and the sailors. The expedition made us filthy rich. Months of work for the family only got us a few thousand gold coins, but after selling the loot from the ancient temple, we got more than 60,000. Time to get all them nymph cloaks and cool armor and rings and gauntlets of ogre power. And almost immediately after our shopping spree ends, a stranger, a wizard, traps us with a spell and delivers us to Dorne. Our equipment is confiscated. Perhaps the real gauntlets of ogre power were friends we made along the way. But it's good to have both, thanks to the unexpected assistance of a Dorne agent, perhaps one of our own, working undercover. The princess sneaks out and recovers her possessions. The game's third act is about the intrigue and machinations of the bounty hunter wizard, who the game hints was a lover of the guy whose tower we blew up during the clock mission. He kidnaps Pia, mistakenly thinking she's our girlfriend, and then his last act, as we stab him dead, is to cast a spell that would banish us to hell. But the spell didn't work properly on account of Cora hacking the guy to pieces as it was happening. So instead of hell, it transports us to the barony of Raven's Tower, some miles away from the city. The Baron used to be a faithful vassal of our father's. The keep is currently being besieged by Dorne. This chapter is about palace intrigue. The parent soon dies under suspicious circumstances, we are blamed, imprisoned, and then released. While exploring the place, we stumble upon two people fucking and confessing to Baron's assassination. The Dorn emissary keeps papers with psychological profiles of the castle's inhabitants, as well as analysis of who is more susceptible to manipulation. This is all good stuff, but what blew my mind was just how different this place was in the older versions of the module. The Ravenstower barony was located in snowy mountains, beautiful winter tile set. There was no Dorn army. There used to be a dragon that played an important role in the story. Maybe it's still there somewhere, I haven't found it. Hovaz's acute sense of smell allows him to know if someone standing before him had recently had sex. That's excellent. Thinking about stealing this character for Warlockracy cinematic universe to keep the ostriches are cool guy company. Eventually we leave this place, we sneak past the Dorn camp and then go through the previously visited menstruation caverns. The goblin corpses are still here. And then the ranger is waiting for us near the bear pit, wants to buy us dinner. He's being all sensitive, probably because of all the estrogen we made him ingest. Andon has a +4 longbow in his inventory, which is possibly the most powerful weapon I've seen in this game. This is nature's way of telling us that shit is about to get real, and it does. The bear pit is being raided, our people are killed or kidnapped. We barely escaped with our lives. This is the all hands on deck kind of situation. We report to the hideout in the sewers and have it evacuated. The organization's days in Betancuria are numbered. There is a rumor going around that our people were taken to a remote location in King's Forest. They should find a new name for the forest now. Perhaps Korra's Bush, sparse as that may be. Oh no, someone used cat for practice shooting. Time for a plot twist. Two people are waiting for us in the hunting lodge. One of them is the Dorn Ranger Vico killed by the Orc Tower. It was back when we were working with Tony. Another is the officer that sexually harassed us earlier in the adventure. We had to be rescued by the member of the family. She acts and moves like she's lived in the streets for her whole life. If I didn't know any better, I'd say no fucking way. They know we're looking for the old innkeep and the rest of our associates. These guys will help us if we help them. We are facing the same enemy, he says. Simon Lyonson is a Dorn noble, pretty high up there on the chain of succession. When the invaders took over the city, they discovered a huge pile of gold beneath the castle. 250 million gold coins. The emperor claimed it to be his. All the city property is supposed to be his. But since the gold is technically not in the city, but below the castle, well anyway, it's still there, and we're gonna steal it. Simon and his agents join our party. This is a fun turn of events. There is even party banter and all. But how are we gonna move all the gold, you ask? Well, with bags of holding, of course. I love these. Their interior space is larger than the outside dimensions. Each bag can hold up to 500 pounds. Something your mom. Eventually we come in conflict with a rival Dorn faction. Our party members get shot while Korra and Simon escape by polymorphing themselves into rats via a magic scroll. Unfortunately, this game has realistic polymorph, and we had to leave all our items and clothes behind. These are ancient tunnels below the castle. Nobody has been here for centuries. The fuck is this? Seems strange that your ancestors would keep something like this secret. Thinking of my own family, they would probably parade this thing around town once a week to remind everybody how great they are. Eventually we find our way back to the surface and into the castle. This room looks familiar. I figured before I could work on my improved Hordes of the Underdark, I should get to know the toolset. And I played around with it a bit while drawing an area which I imagined was a castle. I placed a nice small bedroom in the corner and started decorating the bedroom with all sorts of placeables. Then I added a maid to it, then a couple of guards. Well, and that's how the module came to be. The bedroom is still there, by the way. It's the very first room of part 1. My Lord Lyonson, I'm glad to see you well. It seemed logical that you would come this way, your lordship. These guys are the Emperor's mop-up crew, here to clean up Simon's mess. The people who attacked us in the vault will be silenced. Our dead Dorn companions will be brought back via magic, assuming their bodies can be recovered in decent condition. So I guess that's it. Be well, Korra Marshal of Betancuria. But we didn't recover our items, and I happened to rely on the armor enchantments for sneaking. This sequence was a save scum nightmare. Our house is being searched by cops. I get back some of our old clothes I I previously sold to the blacksmith. No magic enchantments on these. Well, it's the most authentic form of Cora the Paladin. Our people are imprisoned on a ship anchored not far from the harbor. We reach it by boat. Santa Maria is the name. The interiors are very pretty and detailed. We set everyone free, but where is Nathan? Hey there, Birdie. You look good. Unlike you. There are just a handful of guards, so we quickly secure the vessel. The plan is to take Santa Maria to open seas. We'll have to find a safe harbor and stock on supplies, and then we're sailing to Dorne to get the rest of our people back. Hear that, Birdie? We're going on a cruise. Seriously, if you stay in Betancuria, it's only a question of time until Dorne catch your sorry ass. And then the Ranger is coming with us. I hope Pia is here somewhere too. Part 1 ends with Dorne discovering the hanging dragon beneath the castle. The story is continued in Part 2. You need to download and install it separately. From what I've read, it's more linear, but also more narrative-driven. Pia, Vico, and even Cristiano the Paladin. We'll see them again if there is interest. So, A Dance with Rogues. This module was released back in 2006. As you can see, there was no spike in interest when Neverwinter Nights was re-released as Enhanced Edition. Low absolute numbers suggest the module was never influential outside the Neverwinter community, which itself was never that impressive in size, not unlike Vico's dick. 2006 was a pivotal year, both in the history of the medium of RPG and the history of internet porn. Oblivion, one of the big games released that year, made RPGs accessible, and the invention of YouTube-style modern video streaming sites innovated porn. It seems self-evident that when it comes to crafting RPG experiences, sex can be a powerful tool in the toolbox, so to speak. But I wonder if this relationship can work if turned upside down. RPGs can be a powerful tool in pornographer's arsenal. The existence of Lover's Lab, at the very least, hints this might be the case. I suppose porn is ultimately about fantasy. Imagine replacing primitive porn plots with entire fictional universes. Surely that would make the experience more stimulating. Someone should research this. Support this channel on Patreon. Do it now, we have a wedding ceremony soon, and patrons are only charged when I actually make something, and sometimes I forget to press the button. Did you know that in the 80s, during the Satanic Panic, one concerned parent described Dungeons & Dragons as a fantasy role-playing game which uses demonology, witchcraft, murder, blasphemy, suicide, assassination, insanity, sex perversion, homosexuality, prostitution, satanic-type rituals, gambling, barbarism, cannibalism, sadism, desecration, demon summoning, necromantics, divination, and other teachings.
Welcome to Neverwinter Nights.
One last thing. I've been asked to say thank you to all of you who participated in the little fundraiser we did just before the war began. I accidentally started something big. The story includes our guy trying to cross the border illegally, getting caught, a little roughed up, then he laid low, then he attempted to cross the border again, success. Eventually he made his way here and we were chilling for 2 months or so. Then we moved other people, they got on the bus to Riga, and just before crossing the border, a Russian cop saw their Ukrainian passports and extorted several hundred euros by pretending to find a mistake in their paperwork. Anyway, they made it to Latvia, got on a plane, and to their eventual destination in one of the Scandinavian countries. A week later, I get a visit from the FSB, which I was 100% sure was because of that. But no, actually, they just hated my posting on Twitter. And this is crazy to think about, but this has all started with me basically trying to get money for ADHD meds for the person who made my video thumbnails. So yeah, thank you guys. Remember that you are all smart plus hot, and this is just a fact.
Keep acting like that, and you'll see just how bad I can be.